Chapter 1. No Breakfast.
Tangerines. What are you going on about, Rosie?
Liberius cleared his throat and wiped away a tear. He readied himself in his small and Spartan efficiency apartment. Liberius smelled of copaiba oil and frankincense. His apartment smelled of Ulin's bar after closing. Liberius took his pills for Sunday and yesterday. His eyes found the shrine of broken rings that sat at their bases under several photos of different women, their children, and a younger Liberius beside them. His focus paused on the black metal-framed photo of himself cradling his twin daughters in his left arm and hugging his natural, big-haired wife with his right arm. They were all dressed in their Sunday best. In the photograph, Liberius was dressed in a black and white peppered wool blend, high-necked, single-breasted jacket over a purple and gray dashiki and a thick brushed aluminum and titanium herringbone necklace. He was fresh-faced, young, unmarred, and beaming with pride. His wife smiled through her decorative facial scars. She stood on her tiptoes and looked back over her round shoulder, while she flexed her bare tricep like a physique model. She wore the hell out of a peach and gold silk lehenga-inspired dress. Their babies were in white gowns. They stood in front of their sod and log home with a windmill whirling in the background. Roosevelt sat behind Liberius. Roosevelt was best described as, it was recommended not to look at Roosevelt for too long, but the way he talked was distinctive. His words lingered in your mind like a taste on your lips or ink on your skin. Liberius stood in front of his wardrobe. Roosevelt was dividing his attention from typing on his two-way communicator and looking at his wrist display. He mumbled something about Fort Meade and Minuteman missiles. Liberius's dark complexion and sinewy body was scarred from head to toe. A thin scar split his trimmed mustache. His gray undershirt was tucked into his white underwear. When Liberius moved his wrists, the luminescence from his elaborate tattooed bracelets left a trail of light as he moved. His suits were cut to show off these Arabic adornments. Liberius slipped his communication earbud into his left ear. He worked his jaw open and shut several times while pushing the earpiece in further. He yawned and the earpiece clicked into place. As he stretched, dozens of finger-width dark orange lines bloomed from his skin and branched out from his torso in asymmetrical patterns. The lines were straight, then randomly turned at 90 degrees, then branched off in thinner lines, similar to a printed circuit board. Each line ended in a circular pool the size of 10-cent euro pieces, covering his entire body. The lines and circles clustered around Liberius's major muscle groups. Those embedded lines were said to aid Liberius's nervous system, but no one spoke of them out of politeness.
Whit. You're ready, Libby. You'll do fine. Just fine.
Roosevelt kept his head down as he spoke. His face turned from frustrated to happily frustrated while looking at both of his devices. On Roosevelt's display were emojis consisting of a nuclear symbol, dollar signs, and the flags of Russia and the Sino Empire. Roosevelt's face rose from his affairs, and he stared at Liberius.
We will try this again, Liberius. Your appearance on this show will speed up things. And we don't have any more time. They're here. The stage is set properly. The bait is in place. Whatever happens will have to be fixed on site, roughly. Rougher than I like, but I'm sorry, Liberius. I don't want you to fail. I don't want any of you to fail. No, we can't have that.
Liberius's hand fell on a navy pinstripe single-breasted Neapolitan suit.
Libby, the double-breast gray houndstooth, will be a better choice,
Roosevelt suggested. Liberius picked the navy-colored suit and a crisp white shirt.
Libby, that shirt will make you look less than your best.
The lines on Liberius glowed.
The light yellow shirt to the left. Your double brown monks with yellow gold knee-high socks as well. You do have a tie to match, right? A bow tie.
Liberius made a half-head wobble. He inhaled a deep breath and slowly let it out. He closed his eyes and took in another breath. The orange lines on his body dulled.
Libby, Use your shirt stays to keep that blousy shirt down. You're losing weight.
Liberius attempted to tie his tie, but the knot wasn't right. Liberius tried again. The knot made the tie seat too far left. Liberius tried again. The knot was too small. Beads of sweat formed on Liberius's forehead. Liberius mumbled something to himself. He tried again. Liberius's bracelets glowed brightly. Roosevelt noticed.
Liberius, stop, stop. I'll help you.
He stared at Roosevelt's OAA embossed signet ring. Liberius's body relaxed. He observed how nimble Roosevelt's 12 fingers were.
Liberius, stand up, please. Lift your chin.
Roosevelt quickly tied the knitted tie around Liberius's upturned shirt collar. The knot was perfect.
Roosevelt, I could have done it myself, but thank you.
Okay, Libby, I'm sure you could have. I'm here to help you along. Nothing more, my boy. This is important. And these cheap ties. I'm sure there's something better than this.
Liberius slid on his jacket. Roosevelt was looking at him, slightly shaking his head no. Liberius looked away.
It's the tie, Liberius. It doesn't suit you. But have it your way.
Roosevelt informed Liberius about the day's talking points. Roosevelt spoke in rhythmic bullet points. Liberius stood a little taller after each sentence.
That Irishman, Offerman, will chip away against your credibility, not our ideological stances. How could he? Do you understand, Liberius? This is why he's so popular.
Yes, I know. There's no need to.
Roosevelt continued.
The reason you were asked on the show is to defend us, all of us. Your job is to focus only on this city alone. You understand this, Liberius? He will try to have you defend the Gresham insurrection or the New Ulm incident. We won't do that, will we? Of course not, Libby.
Roosevelt, I understand.
Liberius looked frustrated.
Don't fall into his arguments, Libby. Be calm. Be gracious. Be your best.
Liberius closed his eyes tightly and inhaled deeply.
He wants to paint us with a broad brush. You will be your very best self.
Liberius exhaled while cracking his neck. Roosevelt placed a light yellow pocket square into Liberius's jacket pocket. Fully suited, Roosevelt brushed the lint off of Liberius's back.
You must be your best, Liberius, your utmost, Libby.
Liberius said with a smile.
No, I will be perfect.
In Liberius' ear, a crisp female voice said, Director Bravura, the time is 05:15 hours. The temperature is 57 degrees Fahrenheit, with a high of 74, partially cloudy, a breeze of 5 miles per hour from the south. Chenwi Light Industries is up 1/2 point. Al-Razi Medical up 16 points. Valtrex is flat. Cobalt is up 1/2 cent. The dollar has dropped by 18%. One against all. As the two walked down the apartment building's hallway, Liberius pulled notes off of the walls and doorways of his neighbors. One of the notes off of Ida's door read, The violent crimes in New Stockholm have decreased by double digits each decade, while violent crimes, especially violence against the elderly, has increased in the city. From Mrs. Jenkins's door jamb, Liberius peeled another note which read, New Stockholm employment is at 82.5% as compared to the city's 71%. From Mr. Black Svoboda's door, a note read, New Stockholm children grow 3 inches taller than city children. Liberius recited these notes. Roosevelt stared down at his wrist display and typed away on his two-way messenger. Liberius's face was blank until he stepped on a neighbor's childhood doll. It had a large trapezoidal head, spindly arms, thick tubular legs, with a thin plastic golden body. It squeaked as his polished shoe crushed the doll's head. Liberius stopped walking. Liberius blinked rapidly and lifted his foot off of the doll that was laying next to an apartment's entry door. A 7-year-old girl, with dark, curly-haired, unblemished mahogany-colored skin, peeked out her doorway, looking at Liberius. She looked down at her dull-colored plastic shoes. Liberius's face for a second flashed with annoyance, then turned. Liberius looked down at her, then squatted to her eye level and said,
No.
Then he settled his voice, smiled a toothy wide smile, and continued. Liberius fixed the dangling cartoon-styled bandage on the girl's face.
Little one, we don't leave our loved ones alone, without support.
He picked up the limp doll as a father would hold a baby. The girl's house dog's filed toenails clicked on the floor as it jogged towards its young protectee. Liberius held the doll close to his chest. His voice was higher and friendlier than normal. His face was close to hers. She could see the makeup which covered his facial scars.
We are not loved by the outside world,
Liberius said.
so we pick our family. Once family, we are forever loyal, eh?
The girl replied in the sweetest voice, Toujours fatal one against all. Liberius laughed out loud and said,
Yes, yes, Nadia. Daughter of the Dabrowskis, yes.
The girl's nanny dog snorted behind her. The blocky-headed dog pushed its way in front of Nadia, sneezed, then shook its body, rattling his dog tags. Liberius let go of the girl's doll and released it to her open hands. Liberius said,
Goodbye, Nadia.
Before the two men left, Liberius's eyes focused on a crumpled-up flyer laying just inside the girl's entryway. Liberius began to sweat profusely. Liberius picked up the old flyer and stared at it with a puzzled look. Then Liberius's brow softened. He turned to look into Roosevelt's eyes, his hands made into fists. Then Liberius reached into his jacket and Liberius found himself in a fresh, close-fitting, British-style double-breast gray houndstooth suit. He looked like a Saturday night drunk attempting to force himself sober on a Sunday morning. He pulled out an orange and blue lion's head-patterned handkerchief and wiped his face. Liberius wiggled his finger in his ear. In the background, Liberius could hear Roosevelt talking.
I see. She's a singer, a rich kid turned writer. She's a failed comedian turned social commentator.
Roosevelt looked at his wrist display, scrolled down the screen while nodding his head.
What's her danger level? Tell me how popular she is. What are her numbers? I understand, Dee, and disagree. She's a beautiful contrarian. During these times, she'll be...
Liberius moaned and cracked his jaw. His eyes were dead.
So, she's associated with Banks and his masters. No apologies needed. No gin...
Liberius blinked and a few tears rolled down his cheeks. His hand was guided to place pressure where the IV had been in his arm. His eyes returned to normal. He could feel little scrapes and nicks on his face healing. His shirt sleeve was rolled down and his jacket was placed back onto his back by an unseen person or persons. The squeaky shoes of the building's medical staff were headed in the opposite direction.
What? A total erasure? You're a demon, D. Ha! Think grander.
Roosevelt paused. He laughed as the voice on the line spoke.
Isolate her. Befriend her. Give her gifts. Allow her to spiral. Allow her demons to collapse her grasp on reality and relatability to her base. Thank you, D.
Liberius coughed. Roosevelt turned his attention back towards Liberius. Roosevelt handed him a handkerchief. Liberius was kneeling in front of an obviously frightened Nadia. She had changed. She shook as she looked at Roosevelt. Liberius slid his finger across the Band-Aid on her face to keep it on her cheek. Liberius smiled at Nadia. Nadia did not smile back. The hallway smelled different, cleaner. There were new dents in the wall, red hair, and fresh scuffed marks on the floor. Those marks on the floor were a remnant of two fellows who had a disagreement that turned ugly.
Remember, Nadia, be forever loyal.
Liberius said. Roosevelt nodded and added,
Yes. Nadia forever loyal.
Nadia's little body shook. She looked to the floor and locked the door behind her. The two men continued on down the hall. Liberius's fake-soled shoes made a squeaking sound as he walked down the long concrete hallway. The hallway smelled of a blend of bleach, curried meals, and cooking oil.
Do you think she'll lose that thing again?
Of course she will.
Roosevelt said.
We can't trust them to do the right thing. They're all malformed children. A strong, firm hand. Yeah, a firm hand is what's needed.
Roosevelt stopped walking and briefly looked up from his two-way device.
Don't be too trusting, too emotionally invested.
Roosevelt poked Liberius in the chest with each word.
But controlling their perception of you, of the world, must be paramount.
Liberius looked at Roosevelt and said,
Thank you, old man.
Thanks. Show me you love me. And our place, Liberius. Prove it. Prove your worth, your usefulness. Show that half-dead city who we are and what we can do. Show the world. And keep your thanks.
Liberius's smile died slowly as his eyes became watery. His breathing slowed, and he became quiet and focused. Liberius practiced his oration over and over again, lightly mumbling his words, as Roosevelt drove to the venue. Liberius's large eyes were only slightly opened. Liberius stared at Roosevelt play with his signet ring as he drove. Liberius's two perfect teeth grinded on one another, and his thick lips formed a slight grimace, making him look like Roosevelt. Roosevelt drove Liberius to the show in total silence. No music, no banter, no outside noise. Other than Liberius mumbling to himself, it was quiet. Liberius sat in the center seat with his feet planted on the floorboard and his hands on his knees. Liberius would breathe in deeply, hold that breath, and then he would exhale all of his air slowly. There was a rhythm to it. The eeriness of the trip was broken when Roosevelt spoke out loud Charles Offerman's biographical information and the host's strategies in interacting with his guests. 5 minutes away, Roosevelt pushed play on the tape deck and David Bowie's song, "The Man Who Sold the World." Both men loudly sang along to the song. Outside of the vehicle, its engine made a low grumbling sound. The gearheads on the streets coveted 07's engineering as it rolled by. Excerpts from Chapter 2.
It's Charlie, not Charles.
Okay, Charles.
This guy, huh? This ain't an infomercial. You see, you people are radicals, perverts, and disruptors. You can't blind me or us with this socialist smokescreen.
You reluctantly embraced us. Hold on to us. Because your old ways weren't effective. Your politicians can be bought. Your city's institutions are inept. Your corporations continue to poison its consumers. That serial killer claimed the lives of many women, including the mayor's daughter, Vanessa Banks, who was no friend to us.
Most of your people would rather stay on welfare and suck off the public tit. I guess they must follow their natural instincts and cling to their former masters.